This is a test for live stream audio.
Does he have control of this one? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Do the other direct outs work? The other ones that you're using this way? Do the other microphones that you have in the that are in that short mixer that are in the direct out?
I have every day that I've tried it. I just tried this one. Yeah, I think. But those are direct mic. Those are direct mic. A mic is going into the back of the shooter and then out of the back of the shooter. The top part of that. Yeah. So it never hits the other one at all. I would love to get it. I would love to get 6, but at least one more would be great.
It's a six, but sure, it's a mixer. All of the mics are plugged in the grid. Yeah, 1, 2, 1. Should we check the
Volume.
Yeah,
Just on their mic.
I don't think we mess with that.
Testing this microphone, podium 1, 2. I didn't touch anything here. I think it should be fine.
And the wireless. Have we tested the wireless yet today?
1, 2, 2. Wireless is working.
Yeah, 1, 2, check 1, 2.
Well, the only difference, right, is that this time I'm going to line in on my mixer in there. So that's the only difference. So I'm going to line in. And then you'll make my connector.
That's what I'm wondering. Wire bond?
Yeah, we're
would say that too. I think that would be different.
Is that better? Would that work? Come into our house of hope and love, of peace and justice, of wholeness and healing. Come in where we welcome the certain and the seeking, the lifers and the newcomers, the beloved and the brokenhearted. All of you can find a home here at Throop, where we go love the world from the heart of Pasadena and from the heart of our homes. Hello to our friends joining us on the live stream today. We have Jacqueline Schreiber back with us this Sunday leading music. Thank you, Jacqueline, so much for being here. And this morning, we continue our summer theme that is reminding us that wherever we are in the universe right now, it is good enough, and we can bloom and flourish exactly where we are. If you are new to us today, we would love to stay in touch. If you're joining us online, you can fill out the guest information card. I think Brad will put that in the chat. If you're here in the room, that link is in the order of worship. Or we have a little info card that you can find in the pew in front of you, and you can put it in the offering plate a little bit later in the service. Each one of us is a light in the world, and the flame from our chalice symbolizes and reflects that light.
Our time together in worship is intimately connected with our daily lives. As a symbol of that connection, we light our chalice with love, compassion, and justice. May we awaken to the beauty of our earth and renew our vow to be faithful stewards of creation. May we awaken to the wisdom that resides in each of us and trust that we are where we need to be on our personal journeys. May we awaken to the compassion that guides our actions as we bring more peace and wholeness to the world. We light a second candle to honor the people and ancestors whose lands we now occupy. The land under and around Throop was once and still is the home of the Gabrielino Tongva band of Mission Indian people. May this knowledge and awareness lead us into seeking justice and equity for all. We light a third candle, symbolizing our watershed, the Arroyo Seco. May their waters continue to nourish life in our communities. We take a moment of silence, holding all of these in our hearts.
And our opening hymn is Wake Now, My Senses. You can follow along. It's number 298 in that hardback hymnal.
Wake now, my senses, and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow, giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now, my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime.
And take a moment, turn to your neighbor, and welcome them into worship today.
Make now compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the whole sky. Take as thy neighbor, both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end.
This morning, our responsive reading is written by Angela Herrera, and the words that the congregation will use to respond is, "Our journeys are never perfect, but good enough." Let's practice that. Our journeys are never perfect, but good enough.
This is a prayer for all the travelers, for the ones who start out in beauty, who fall from grace, who step gingerly, looking for the way back, and for those who are born into the margins, who travel from one liminal space to another, crossing boundaries in search of center.
Our journeys are never perfect, but good enough.
This is a prayer for the ones whose births are a passing from darkness to darkness, who all their lives are drawn toward the light, and for those whose journeys are a winding road that begins and ends in the same place, though only when the journey is completed do they finally know where they are.
Our journeys are never perfect, but good enough.
For all the travelers, young and old, aching and joyful, weary and full of life, the ones who are here and the ones who are not here, the ones who are like you, and they're all like you, and the ones who are different, for in some ways we each travel alone.
Our journeys are never perfect, but good enough.
This is a prayer for traveling mercies and sure-footedness, for bread for your body and spirit, for water, for your safe arrival, and for everyone you see along the way.
Our journeys are never perfect, but good enough. And we come here together as a group of people on these perfectly imperfect journeys of life. This church is ours, and we support it in so many different ways. We support it through our gifts of time and treasure and talent. We do it by showing up here on Sundays and making coffee and volunteering in the garden, and just by tending to our own spiritual lives so we can show up here the best we can for one another. For those of you that are able to make a financial contribution today, you can do that online, or you can text to give. Brad, for our live stream people, is putting the link in the live stream chat. If you have an order of worship, you'll see the link in there. And if you're here in the room, you can make a donation in person. Marissa and Paula are about to pass the offering plate. And if you have a cash donation, you can put it in one of the envelopes that you see in the pew right there in front of you. Thank you so much for all the ways you support our life together. The morning offering will now be gratefully received.
Sing out praises for the journey, pilgrims we who carry on, searchers in the soul's deep yearnings, like our forebears in their time. We seek out the Spirit's wholeness in the endless human quest. Look inside your souls, the kindling of the heart fire pilgrims knew. Find the Spirit, always restless. Find it in each mind and heart. Touch and hold the ancient yearning, kindling for a newfound truth. Stand we now upon the threshold, facing futures yet unknown. Hearth behind us, wayside hostel, built by
We pause in a spirit of gratitude for the threads that have brought us into this space together, and for the ways we release our energies and resources into the world. Please say with me the response to the offering that's found in the order of worship. For the ministries of the church in our community, we bless our offering with love and hope. And we follow that each week by saying our promise to our planet. And I invite you to either imagine that you're holding Earth somehow in your hands right now, or if that feels like too much for today and too heavy, maybe you can just hold your favorite tree or a blossom. And if those feel too heavy, maybe imagine just a butterfly landing on the tip of your finger. And whatever you're choosing to hold, just keep that at the forefront of your heart and mind as we say these words together. As members of the family of living beings on earth, we are guided by the Unitarian Universalist principle of respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part, with hearts filled with love for it, eyes nurtured by its beauty, and minds ruminating on ways to protect its sacred and scarce resources. We promise to nurture the well-being of all life and of the planet itself. And today I offer for you a blessing for small actions. I invite you to take a breath in if that feels right, and to exhale. This is a good time to feel your body in this space, to let yourself fully arrive in the sanctuary. And as you receive this blessing, I invite you once again to just imagine you're holding Earth or some piece of it, or a tiny little butterfly on the tip of your finger. And may you, each and every one, feel the blessing of a radical love. May that love overflow onto and into and through you. May that love fill you with generosity and compassion, so that you may be the hands and the feet that our world so desperately needs. May you remember that love isn't always large and extravagant. It is not always seen in the grand gestures, but rather in the small, faithful acts that we make each day. It's the showing up. It's the work behind the scenes. It's doing those things that won't necessarily bring recognition. It's offering a generosity of time and resources and heart. It's a long time faithfulness that can and does change the world. May each one of you be blessed with the ability to do small things that bring more love into the world, to take one small action at a time, knowing it's meaningful. When you mess up or get tired or forget, just as we all do, may you find the courage within you to begin again, to love again, and to open yourself to receiving that love. Amen, and may it be so.
Be thou with us now and always, now and always. Bless Be thou with us, now and always, now and always. Blessed be. Be thou with us, now and always, now and always. Blessed be.
This morning, we started worship by hearing Jacqueline sing "Wake Now, My Senses," and one of the phrases in the song is, "Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky." And in just the last 6 weeks, we've had so many cries of suffering that have filled our hearts. We've held the Supreme Court decision overturning Roe. We've held the Supreme Court deciding to restrict the Environmental Protection Agency. We held more mass shootings. We watched as extreme heat caused by the climate emergency has threatened life all over the planet. And here in Los Angeles, COVID cases are spiking once again. As all this was taking place earlier this week, I was talking with one of you, and you shared with me just how much all of this scares you. And this person said the fear comes from a worry that we cannot fix these intractable problems. This congregant's scared about the world her child will inherit and inhabit. She's a long-time activist, and she feels like she's worked on these issues for decades, but that she's barely made a dent in anything. And I wonder if some of her story and worry resonates with those of you in the pews or those of you at home today. It definitely resonated in my own heart when she shared that. There's so much pain in the world, and there is so much suffering. And I know that if we could indeed somehow pick up our world, and if we were to run our fingers across it, we would feel so many cracks in it. And cracks that seem like they get wider and deeper with the passing of each and every year. And we would feel these cracks that it feels like more and more people, more and more of Earth's creatures are falling through those cracks. And I know that just as you were holding that world and feeling it, I know if you could, you would do everything possible to mend them. And you would want to do it immediately, not even today, but immediately yesterday, you would have done this. As Unitarian Universalists, we know that praying not only happens in our hearts and in our minds, but we pray through our hands and our feet, taking action in the world. This suffering is as much a part of our journeys as joy is, as laughter is, as love and compassion are. We each experience pain, and each of us watch as people close to us experience their own pain and suffering. This summer's worship services are inspired by a book called Good Enough, and it's a series of 40 devotions and reflections that just serve as reminders that you know, life can be hard, and really wherever you are today and however you're showing up, it's an affirmation you are where you need to be, and you are living into the gifts that your life is offering you. And in the book, the authors share a story about someone called Saint Therese, and Therese was a saint of small things. Therese did not have an easy life. She's someone who knew an inordinate amount of sadness. Her mother died when she was 4. She felt really drawn to emotional intensity and spiritual questions and longings. And as a teenager, she decided that she wanted to be a nun. And so she moved into a convent, and there she lived a pretty sheltered life, praying, devoting herself to God, and just trying to be a good, faithful person. And then at the age of 24, she discovered that she had tuberculosis and that she was not going to live much longer. So she didn't live a particularly extraordinary life, except in the way she chose to respond to the suffering she encountered. When she learned she would die, she decided that her ordinary life would be lived with limitless love, and she called this the little way. And she wrote, "Love proves itself by deeds, so how am I to show my love? Great deeds are forbidden me. The only way I can prove my love is by scattering flowers, and these flowers are every little sacrifice, every glance and word, and the doing of the least actions for love." She felt this practice would help release her from the bonds of suffering and help her experience joy in the days she had left on earth. This image of her loving gestures as scattering flowers reminded me of a wisdom tale about a woman carrying 2 pails of water. One pail is exactly perfect, and the other pail has a small crack in it. And each day she would carry water from the stream up to her home in these 2 pots. They hung across a pole that was balanced on her shoulders. With each trip, the perfect pail, of course, arrived at home full of water. And the pail with the crack in it would arrive, and it had lost about half the water. And some might look at that pot and say, "That's imperfect. Why is she wasting so much time and energy with that pail? Why doesn't she just get rid of it, mend it, get a new one?" But she saw it really differently. The water that would slowly leak out of it on her way home nourished colorful wildflowers that grew along the pathway. This flaw enabled them to flourish, and those flowers brought beauty and joy to all who saw them. When we hold the world in our hands and feel the cracks with our fingers, we can think of them not just as wounds, but as sacred wounds. And they're sacred because they are part of us. They tell a part of our story. And when we accept our wounds not as one piece of us, but not the whole of us, they can offer us a way through into deeper understandings of ourselves, of those near to us, and of the world. We don't let the pain of suffering shut us down, but we understand it as a thread that binds us together and that can help us honor the wholeness and holiness of ourselves and of other people in our lives. These sacred wounds can become our own touchstones for transformation. They become like the water for beautiful wildflowers that will most certainly bloom along our life's path. Saint Therese chose to respond to suffering by following what she called the little way. She continually embraced and lived a radical love that holds each and every one of us. The congregant I mentioned, she is not letting that fear stop her. She follows her own little way, if you will, releasing her radical love in the world through her acts and deeds of service and care. And in the days to come, may you find the gifts of the little way. May all of your acts of love help you embody a deeper faith and greater compassion for yourself and those around you. May it be so.
If this life is one act, why do we lay all these traps? We put them right on our path when we just want to be free. I will not waste my days making up all kind of ways to worry about some things that will not happen to me. So I just let go of what I don't know, and I know I'll only do this by living in the moment, living my life easy and breezy, with peace in my mind, got peace in my heart, got peace in my soul. Wherever I'm going, I'm already home, living in the moment. I'm letting myself off the hook for things that I've done. I let my past go past, and now I'm having more fun. I'm letting go of the thoughts that do not make me strong, and I believe this way can be the same for everyone. If I fall asleep, I know you'll be the one who will always remind me to live in the moment, to live in my life just easy and breezy, with peace in my mind and peace in my heart and peace in my soul. Wherever I'm going, I know I'm already home, living in the moment, living in the moment.
And if you'll put a hand on your heart and reach one out to someone in the room or on the live stream. Our chalice is extinguished. We carry its light with us. May you know many and multiple and amazing and ordinary and joyful little acts of love in the days to come. May you reach out toward the world with compassion, do what you can to mend the cracks around us, and go out and love the world. I love you all. Amen and blessed be.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow so pretty in the sky, they're also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying how do you do. They're really saying I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow, 'cause they'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. oh so pretty in the sky, also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying how do you do. They're really saying I love you. I see babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think, what a wonderful world. Yeah, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.